All right, we are on air. It is Thursday, March 19th, and we're going to do a little working session today in this backdrop design meeting to try and sort out what we're doing about modules and layouts and themes and how we're going to build an interface for people to browse them and find them on backdropcms.org. But really quickly, we'll just run through our standard agenda, probably in less detail than ever before. Most of you probably know what Backdrop CMS is already. Short term, the audience for Backdrop is existing Drupal sites, developers, users, designers. But longer term, we're trying to move into a more competitive market. We're trying to move down market. And in order to compete with the likes of WordPress, we need to have easier designs. We need to have better designs. We need to have easier user interfaces. We need to have a lot of kind of bells and whistles that the Drupal community has not been historically good at. So that's why we have the standing meetings, to kind of address these issues and make sure that we can create a superior product that can compete with other ones that are known for being very strong in those spaces. So what we're going to talk about today are all of the outstanding issues for Backdrop, the product, as well as the things we need to build the infrastructure around the product itself. But we're going to do it really high level, and we'll get into more detail again, I guess, in 2 weeks for the other stuff. So Backdrop CMS, our flagship website, and this is what we're going to be talking about later today. Since the last meeting, we have launched the new theme. We have done a design review of the new theme, and I think most of those changes are up. There might be one small color change left, but that should be about it. So that's almost good to go. Wes, I know, is working on maybe mobile navigation for the site. At some point, maybe not right now, which is going to make the experience of using our primary website much better. So hopefully that will be pretty much completely done here in the next week or so before we have, maybe next 2 weeks, before we have this meeting again, which is great. We're going to be moving into adding some new features onto that site later in this meeting. But other things we're working on, we have our API site, which is also kind of mostly done at this point. We need to put a new theme on it, which we're going to take the theme from our primary site now that that's almost done and drop that on, see what it looks like over there. And then we'd love to make sure that all of the things are working on the API side as we like. We've moved some developer documentation over there. We just have to make sure that that looks good also. Backdrop, the product, the tool itself, has a new admin theme style guide, which is great. We've had a whole bunch of design feedback on that. We've got some changes coming out of that, and then the design theme itself is being, or the theme for the design is being implemented. So there are a bunch of tickets about making Backdrop look better. I think what we're waiting for a critical mass of things to get changed before we start committing any one to Backdrop. And the one linchpin right now is just making sure we get the master issue for our HTML elements done. And that's, until we get the font change in there, it's really hard to visualize what all of these other things are going to look like with the right, do they have the right spacing? I don't know if the font looks right in there. So we'll get that one ticket done, and then we'll start to be able to merge these things in, and hopefully we'll get most of them done, if not all of them, by the 1.1 release. Other things we want to work on, we want to have a new front-end theme, and the way that we're getting that done is by having somebody create one in Contrib, and when it's done in Contrib, we'll move it into Core. We'll, of course, hopefully have a bunch of them, be able to compare and contrast and say, which one do we like for Core and why, and then there will be a little revamping involved in getting it in. But that's our process for that. We also have a bunch of user experience tasks on GitHub tagged with a little square issue in the square brackets in the issue queue that says UX. And so anytime anyone encounters a user experience problem, you can tag an issue with UX in the title. Or if you're super interested in user experience and want to help us solve some of these problems, you can search the queue for that tag and find those issues there too. And we'll be sorting through those in bug fix releases if they're really horrible. But if they're not really horrible, they'll get postponed to future releases. So 1.1 should contain a lot of user experience improvements too. All right, so on to the fun stuff. Today, what we're going to be working on is reviewing page tables and requirements for the module listing page, the module page, the themes, and layouts. So I don't know if, Darius, we should just turn it over to you and just kind of start talking about this stuff.
Yeah, I thought we could even peel it back a little bit more and go through the sitemap and then into page tables.
Okay.
Would that be cool?
Sure.
Yeah? Okay, great. So here's the link for anybody who doesn't have it.
Thank you.
I was going through this, and I wasn't exactly sure if I was interpreting the sitemap correctly, so I rendered another version of it. So if you see there's a new tab.
Okay.
Cool. So are we on the second tab, everybody?
Yes.
Awesome. So the first column is the primary pages, and the second column is what I interpreted from the original document as secondary pages. Content, I think that's all the same. Whether or not you have a page table, I based this on this document. Because the yeses and nos didn't line up with what's there, so maybe there was like page table entries that I didn't know about, but just according to what documentation I saw.
Okay.
So that's where the happy face or no face comes from. And then these URLs need to be updated, but I just kind of left it like that. I think
Okay.
it was enough to work with. Cool. All right, so we have home, handbook, press kit, modules, themes, and then I thought that buy a theme and sell a theme were subpages of themes. Was that correct?
I don't know that those are themes so much as, or pages so much as like concepts we were thinking about.
Okay.
So I don't know that we need to have like a buy a theme page and a sell a theme page so much as like, hey, do we want to let people buy themes or sell themes here?
Okay, so we're not quite sure then, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure that is exactly a page.
Okay, cool. It wasn't sure.
Okay.
Okay, great. So then these two, I put these back into content then, and we can talk about more in the future.
Okay.
And then showcase. And then I didn't know what add a site was. It looked like it was a subsidiary of Showcase.
Yeah, so I think that's also a feature. Like Showcase would be, here's a whole bunch of websites that people have built on Backdrop CMS, and so the feature there would be like add your website to the Showcase. So just some kind of like call to action or something that happens on that page, and it will of course need a page. But yeah, I think this is a call to action.
Okay, so it's a call to action. I mean, so that would be another page, though, kind of.
Right? Yeah, I mean, depending on what the call to action is, most of these things just will have to have pages. It would just be like the node add form, and
So essentially, it kind of is a sub page of Showcase, as are the other two a sub page of themes, sort of, right?
Like maybe. I mean, I feel like buy a theme isn't going to be a sub page. That's going to be a whole like e-commerce system we've got to build.
So it wouldn't be like theme / buy a theme?
No, it would be like every theme you look at would have a buy button or an add to cart button or something. We can look at how like ThemeForest or any of those other sites that sell themes do it. But this is also like, I'm not sure how this is something we talked about a couple of months ago about like, oh, we should let people buy and sell on our site. But that might also be kind of too much of a pipe dream in terms of what we are able to support. In short term, it's just going to be like download a theme, upload a theme, or download a theme, link to your GitHub repository, or whatever it is, just like the same thing we're doing with modules and layouts. So I think probably what we should do is just focus on whatever that first, like how are we going to solve this problem for all of this free open source stuff that we have now, and then later on be like, how do we make it easy for people to transact in addition to whatever, because ThemeForest is probably going to continue selling their themes on ThemeForest even if they make them for Backdrop. So I think like that problem is kind of solved short term already. We just thought wouldn't it be nice if we could put it all together. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know where those pages will live.
Okay, cool. So this is a good conversation. I think that I'm definitely going to strip it out then, like rather than having these orange stripes.
Okay.
They should just be like content with an asterisk or something when I make my update.
So yeah, the orange here just indicated that was like phase 3.
Right.
Yeah. So if you want to just remove them for now and we can revisit later, that's totally fine.
Yeah. And then what was Marketplace? I didn't really
So
understand what was going on.
So this is also mapping to how Drupal.org solves this problem where if you are a vendor and provide design services, you might want to list that service on backdropcms.org. So someone can say, where do I find a designer for Backdrop? And they go to backdropcms.org and they click designers or whatever it is and they can find someone. So you can find developers or web hosts or anything that you may need that's associated with it.
Okay.
Drupal.org does this fairly well. I feel like the user experience isn't super great, but it does solve the need. And I would love to be able to provide the same kind of service on backdropcms.org.
So again, list your company seems like a content or call to action thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. Great. And then thank you page. That's
So
already there, right?
yeah, this is just, we went from our initial Indiegogo campaign, we promised people that we would say thank you to them on our website, so we added them there.
Okay.
But then over time, we also had other people we wanted to thank for various things. You might recognize the name on that list. And so we ended up adding this page to just be like, we want to have a place where we can say, you know, these are the people that we really appreciate in our community. So as we get donations, we add people. As people do, you know, heroic acts of whatever it is, we'll put them on here. So it's kind of a nice little give back page, warm fuzzy page.
Cool. All right, so that's a much more simplified version than I think of the sitemap.
Yay!
Sweet. All right, cool. So on to page tables then. So I took a look at what you've done thus far, and I've also been refining the page tables process. So I sort of have my own way of doing it now, and I think that I've streamlined it and simplified it for people. So I took what you've entered in here, and I rejiggered it into this more simplified table format. So I think we should just go through this, and I'll ask you some questions.
Okay.
Cool. So let's talk about the modules page.
Can you put a link to that into the Hangout also?
I think I did.
Oh. I'm just behind. Sorry about that. All right, I got it.
Sweet. Okay. So now we just have title, goals, tactics, which is a new term that I came up with, which relates to content chunks, and then user tasks, like things that you want them to do, and then just notes. And I did it this way because all of your content chunks should relate directly to what your goals are.
Okay.
And before, it was easy to like lose sight of what's going on and just start listing stuff because the table was so complicated. So that's my rationale.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So goals. Communicate that Backdrop is more than its core code alone. So cool. I could see that just being like a sentence or two, you know, saying like extend Backdrop or whatever else. I think that's pretty clear. The second part here is where it starts to get a little more complex, I think, for what we expect on this page. So explain what modules do and give examples. So what did you have in mind there?
So there used to be this horrible string of text at the top of the modules page on, like, in Drupal itself that was something like, modules extend the functionality of your site. Turn on one to see the addition of a forum or something like that. And I think that we don't need to get into a huge amount of detail here. We might even have a good piece of copy on the handbook already on the modules page. It's just like, this word module is going to be foreign to everyone who doesn't already use Backdrop. So let's just kind of say, like, extend your site, use a module. Okay, what is a module? Well, a module is something that will add functionality, and it can do that by changing existing functionality, or it can do that by adding something new, or it can do that by, you know, providing more granularity to something that's already there, or whatever. And I think it would just be good to kind of have like a short paragraph that just kind of says, this is what you want if you think you want a plugin or extension or something, some other terminology that you understand already.
Okay. Could we possibly have that as a simple subpage? We could have a call to action that says, need to know more or learn more about what modules can do.
I don't think we want a subpage because it'll be like one sentence, but I think it could be in like a more info or like I don't know. Like there is some way if it was cluttering the page that you could have like a question mark and then like someone could hover over it and it could say like this is what a module is.
Yeah, I think that's what we should do because I could see this being somewhat distracting and out of the scope of what we're really trying to do on this page.
Yeah, that would be fine. Or we could even just link to the handbook modules page. But I think the point for me was I don't want people to get to the modules page and see the word modules and go, that's not what I want and leave. Just something to be like, you're in the right place. That doesn't necessarily need to be a paragraph of text. That could just be with the way the page is designed, like they'll feel they've arrived in the right place.
Yeah.
So let's we can remove this as something that's a requirement and try and solve this problem with design. What else would be fine?
Well, yeah, I don't think we should remove it. I think keeping it here and, like you said, how the execution makes a big difference. So
Okay.
if maybe it's just a link, learn more, a hover state, an accordion, whatever. I think, though, just having it out there might be a little bit cluttered and distracting.
Okay.
Cool. Provide a list of commonly installed modules. Cool, I had an idea for that. That could even just be a filter of sorts, depending on how we construct the page.
Yeah.
Search box, of course, and then a link to documentation. Perfect, right? Cool. So I think that's all good. So to tactics, what is a module? So what did you mean by that as like a content chunk?
So I've lost where you are in the document.
Oh,
I'm sorry?
Is it?
so there's two tables for modules. He's on the second one. If you scroll down to like 3/4 of the way through.
Aha.
Yeah, I kept all of your original.
Yeah. Okay, I see. All right, perfect. So this is the same thing as the explain what modules do, give examples.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So, yes, let's see, what is a module? So, info, say that. Think CTA. Cool. Search box. Awesome. Someone crossed this out. Backdrop compatible modules on Drupal.
Yeah, I crossed that out actually.
Okay.
So the reason for that is backdrop compatible modules on Drupal.org. It's really pretty unlikely that we're going to have very many, maybe not even any backdrop modules hosted on Drupal.org. I think generally we thought that was a possibility back like a year and a half ago, but it's become pretty clear that for one, Drupal.org doesn't really want any backdrop modules on their site in the first place. And second of all, most people seem to prefer to use GitHub in the first place anyway. And so, I think it's unlikely that we're going to have any modules hosted on Drupal.org that we would actually be linking out to, saying like, here's how, here's a backdrop module that you can use.
Okay, cool. So that's just gone out of here.
Yep.
All right, let's just burn it. There you go. Evaluation comparison hints for selecting a module. Tell me a little more about that.
So this is something that comes from kind of your experience for searching for a module on Drupal.org. You type in, whatever keyword you want, and sometimes you get a whole bunch of results. Some of them don't even contain the keyword you searched for, and you've got to figure out, how do I know which of these results to actually install? And this is something that, short term, we might not have as big a problem because we won't have as many modules as Drupal. But if we're wanting this project to be successful in the long run, we are going to eventually run into this. So we need to have some way for someone to tell, like, I'm on this page, I can see there are 4 things that might be what I want. How do I evaluate that? Like, how do I decide which one is right for my project? And there are some of these problems we're going to run into where we can't solve this problem, right? You need to try them both and decide. But I feel like there are a lot of issues where 3 of those results aren't relevant for you anyway, and you need a way to determine which ones are. And so having something that would have like, if you look at, WordPress has like a rating thing where it's like, this module only has 1 star, it doesn't work for anyone, don't use it, you can use the other one. They need to have some kind of description that say what they do. We can pull that in from GitHub or from the project page or wherever, but something that will help someone read and understand what it is. They need to have maybe the number of people using them is going to be useful. It's like information you can get on Drupal.org too, where it's like, oh, there's 2 modules and they look exactly the same, but one of them only has 6 people using it and one of them has 600,000 people using it. Maybe I should go with the one that everyone else already has decided.
Cool.
So just some way on that search result listing, you have information there that will help you just determine which link to click on.
Perfect. Cool. At first, I got really nervous, and I'm like, whoa, like a comparison thing. This sounds like e-commerce. Oh my god. But what you just explained makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think long term it would be cool to have like some fancy engine thing, but that's not what we need right now.
Okay, I was like, wow, y'all are ambitious.
Cool. I would just say we need more than what Drupal.org has currently, and I'm not sure that whatever it is we're going to figure out is going to be easy, but it would be good to have a plan. So if it's like, okay, if we can build what Drupal.org has now right away, and then say, next we need to figure out how to add number of counts, or we need to figure out how to add ratings, or something that Drupal doesn't have yet. We can postpone those things, but I want to think about it now and figure out what that experience should be, and get designed, and then we can work on the hard stuff later.
Yep. All right, sweet. And then I would say we could go a level deeper. Like what do we want on this page? Like, do we want to list the actual modules? We might have a search box on top maybe, and then like a list of modules underneath, or a list of like featured modules, or
I think like the idea of putting the most recently installed modules there by default might be good, because then that way you don't have to click to get to whatever the #1 installed contrib module is. It's always going to be, here's the 10 most commonly installed, and you probably want one of these if you're on this page.
Okay.
Before anyone searches. And then, give them the search so that they can get more if they want something else.
Perfect. I have a really good example to show you guys after this for what I have in mind. Awesome. So user tasks, let's kind of change. Search for modules. That's what they'll be doing, downloading modules. What else?
Comparing modules. That's probably it. I mean, understanding what a module is kind of comes along with all those things, but that's not the point of this page. Just kind of like, oh, this is,
Right?
Yeah.
Or find more info about modules, maybe.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Is that possible with this?
I think so.
Let's see. How do we do it?
It's in the left sidebar. There's a green arrow that kind of swoops.
Thank you much.
Gotta love Google's icons.
So good.
Swoopy arrow.
Cool. Can you all see my screen?
Yep.
So great artist steal, and I think we should follow this example.
Okay.
So I really like how you come here, and this is sort of how I imagine the top portion of the modules page looking. Some kind of orientation statement, maybe a smaller sentence underneath. Kind of look like our homepage already, right?
Yeah.
A nice big juicy search bar. And then underneath this, I would think like having just a nice, simple, elegant list of modules kind of like this, but instead with filters on top. So the first filter would be like commonly downloaded. The next would be whatever, and so on. So you have a set of filters. And then when you search, this would repopulate the list of whatever was more applicable to what you wanted.
I like it. I like that it has the version number there. I like that as the number of downloads. I think this is a pretty good model.
And it's simple. It's so simple.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of the alphabetical listing, but I don't think.
No, not either.
Yeah.
This is not much value, but we'll have our own set of filters, right?
Yeah, I think as soon as someone does a search, we'll rank them by how relevant they were to that search topic. And if someone just lands on this page
Right.
and we're going to show the most popular anyway, they'll be ranked by popularity. So I think that would be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. So this fuse this on top of this, and that's sort of my idea for how I envision that page to work.
I think that's great.
Yay. Cool.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, I think that's good. Actually, now that I'm thinking about Drupal.org's current approach, it's a little bit silly. I think on Drupal.org, when you land on the extend page, you end up with a combination of themes and modules, just
It
kind of
makes no sense. Yeah.
clumped together. Yeah, and I think that makes sense to separate those two. What I was going to comment on is that when we get to themes, which is next, we probably will want to include a screenshot. But I was trying to think if we wanted screenshots for the modules, but probably not, because we don't really have module screenshots in a way that are valuable most of the time.
I was thinking of that too. Yeah.
Every now and then a module will come up with a logo or something like that, but even those are few and far between.
I was looking at how WordPress does it, and they have a fancy picture for every single plugin, and it's like, this is hard to establish. Maybe down the road, once we become more popular, we can do a cute thumbnail logo for every project, but I think at this point in time, the simple text display makes more sense.
Yeah, in the Joomla community, I haven't looked at this recently, but I remember there was a phase, and maybe this is still going on, where every single Joomla plugin, is that what they use? But every single extension they had, everybody had a 3D rendering of a box of software with like their made up logo for it, and I was just like, really, a box of software? Like every single one of them looked like a box piece of software, even though that box never ever existed.
And I'm like, so what if someone doesn't have an image? Then we have to come up with some terrible default thing, and that's just going to look weird. So, yeah. I think down the road, once we have way more designer support and people think it's hip to make little WordPressy type logos, then fine. But for now, we're still kind of developer focused and going with the lean me approach towards things. Awesome. Anything else about modules before we move on to themes?
Do we want to have categories?
What do you mean?
Okay, so on Drupal.org, should I share my screen or should we just talk about it here? I'll just post a link.
Yeah.
On Drupal.org, they have a couple of different filters at the top, and we can do this with buttons or selects or something else too. We just need to figure out whether we need to organize the modules in the same way. But at the very top of any module search result page, they have these additional filters for maintenance status, development status, module category, which is where it gets a little funny, and core compatibility, as well as, is it a real project or a sandbox project, or changing your sort order. I think for some of these things, like the sort order, I think we've already talked about, we can provide buttons for how you want to have them sorted. Maintenance status, I think, is going to be less important for us right now, just because everything is new. But over the long term, we are going to have projects that become abandoned. We are going to have people who, ported something and never came back to take care of it. And I think it would be good to be able to find things that are relevant. Development status, I don't know, Nate, how much of this you moved into project module for Backdrop. Like some of these things don't necessarily map exactly to Backdrop as in Drupal. Module categories, though, is the thing that I think we should talk about, because that does provide some utility. In Backdrop, we did some work already on the modules page to kind of create a distinct set of categories out of the box. So all of the modules are grouped into things like these are fields. And we have kind of a similar mapping on this page here as to categories for modules. And so I think it might be, it might help us out if we were able to provide some categories. I mean, obviously we aren't going to have as many as Drupal does. Some of these are also legacy, like there's a whole CCK related section and stuff that just won't relate to Backdrop. But it would be good to look at them and figure out if we should include something similar.
So I think this list here, where I put filters and sorts, you and Nate can go through this and just kind of dream about taxonomies and ways of manipulating these list views. You know, like I think it'd be a good homework assignment to just sit and kind of think about
Okay.
how do we want this to work. So just put them here.
Yeah, in particular, when I talked about categories, I really, I mean, yeah, core compatibility and what were the other ones? Maintenance status, development status. Yeah, all of those things probably, but not in the immediate future because we don't have things like unmaintained modules or abandoned modules or obsolete modules. Like we don't have any of those things at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a couple years down the line, we probably will have a lot of those, but we don't at this point. Everything has kind of just been built.
I think, yeah, what really the moral of the story is that you want to have filtering and sorting functionality, and that will change over time.
Yeah, what it actually meant was categories in terms of things like a way that people could browse to say, like, I want to see all e-commerce modules. I want to see all, I don't know, maybe some of these aren't particularly helpful. So I'm looking at the drop-down for module categories, or also.
Totally. And that's why I'm like, it'll take time. You know?
Yeah, I think Nate, this is a good homework assignment for us too, and we can maybe create an issue and get feedback from the larger community also, and say, here are all of the categories on Drupal.org. Here's the subset that we're thinking about putting on Backdrop for the Find a Module page. And initially we could start with like 6 because we only have 50 modules and they aren't going to roll up into that many categories. But it would be good to have that discussion about, like, you know, do we need, you know, at what point should we add an e-commerce category? If we have basic cart module and that's it, like, okay, people should know, I want e-commerce tools, there's only one. Maybe having a category for that is useful. I don't know. But it would be good to have that discussion someplace and see what we arrive at.
And then are you going to let people create categories, or are you going to...
we need a process for that. Yeah.
Right. Are you going to say, here's the categories, and that's all you get?
Yeah. I mean, I think like Drupal.org has a process where you create an issue when you want a new category, and then people will tell you why you don't need it, and then you argue why you do need it, and then you can have it if you win.
I like that.
So we probably would need a similar process where we start with...
I think that's great.
And then as the community grows, and you know, we can't anticipate which directions it's going to go in. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we going to filter themes for like developer themes versus out of the box like site builder themes, or?
Yeah.
I feel like it's confusing to new people if you like download this theme that's supposed to be like all minimal and there's nothing there and you don't know what to do, versus like you download a theme and you're like good to go kind of.
Yeah, I think that also has value, and we should think about, like, you know, I don't know, Darius, if you've done any different thought about the themes page, and we should just jump to that if we're done with modules.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of the things that we consider doing for the modules page might translate to themes, but there's also a bunch of things that are really different. So maybe we should talk about it kind of holistically from top down, and then see where categories fit in there. But I think that's a good idea. I mean, I also agree that it's a little weird for someone to download a theme and then turn it on, and then it's like you can't, nothing. Nice, blank slate. So yeah.
Cool. So themes, goals explain what a theme is. Yeah, could just be a simple sentence, same as before. Enable users to search for themes, of course. Allow users to browse recently added themes. And then link to documentation on creating custom themes. All sounds good to me. The tactics, what is a theme? So just like before, that was going to be like an info chunk, hover state, or whatever else.
Yeah.
So that's like the same thing. And then a search box. And then the evaluation comparison thing, is that the same as before?
Yeah, there's 2 themes. How do you know which one to choose? In this case, I think it's a little less crucial because people will probably just be looking at that screenshot and be like, this one's pretty. rather than being like, oh,
Mhm.
you know, 800,000 people are already running that theme. That's like worse in a themes world than it is in a module world. My site will look like 800,000 other sites. Yeah, so that would be good.
Yeah, and I think this is what Intimel was saying about filtering base themes versus like, you know, actual themes that are intended to be used, because at least in the Drupal world, the most popular themes are all base themes, which is pretty much not actually helpful to people that are like, I want a completed, you know, site look.
So maybe we should just have, as part of the theme node, have like a checkbox or something that says this is a base theme or doesn't contain any styles or something. I don't even know how you would word that, because every theme could be a base theme. Like I've sub-themed lots of stuff, but there are definitely ones that don't do anything without a sub-theme.
Yeah, kind of like a wireframe kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
scaffolding.
they're not
What do
really,
you call that in the front-end world?
Yeah. Scaffolding's pretty close.
Okay.
So I put that as theme category or type.
Okay. And then I think if we wanted to do like most installed themes on the theme like default listing, we would just need to filter those out. Well, maybe not. I mean, I don't know what the use case is for people arriving at this page. Are most of the people on this page looking for a scaffolding theme? I don't know.
Well, that lends itself directly to user tasks. What are people doing? Looking for scaffolding?
Yeah. I mean, I think I would prefer that we cater to the kind of lowest kind of common denominator and say if you're a developer and you're looking for a scaffolding theme, you probably know what you're doing. You can click a button that says show me a scaffolding theme. And if you're new to the site and you don't understand themes and you don't know what a scaffolding theme is, we shouldn't even make you think about it. We should just show you what you probably want.
So that's perfect. I mean, right there, it's like look, you're either looking for a scaffolding theme or you're just looking for themes in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, although just knowing end user behavior, if we give users an option to say whether or not their theme is scaffolding or not, if they're not in the default listing of themes, say somebody ports Zen, or even Radix is kind of a scaffolding theme because it's not, I mean, it's just Bootstrap. They might just change the categorization of their theme just so that they show up in the general list instead of being in the scaffolding list if it's considered.
I think it should still show up in all themes. Like it'll still be like, if it's a popular theme, it'll still be there, right?
Okay.
And then you can drill down a level further into just scaffolding.
Oh, I see. So we're still saying that we would show all themes by default and then just have scaffolding as a,
So what that's going to do is show 10 scaffolding themes.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, what we're trying to. Yeah, we're trying to get away from that because most people who arrive on that page will say, "Oh, here's the most popular theme. I'll install it," and then they'll be like, "Why is it not showing?" Because they don't understand what a scaffolding theme is.
Well, no, it'll. I mean, I think that's fine. Like it still indicates that it's scaffolding, but we can't like force people into what we think they want either.
Yeah, I think it would be good that if we're going to show by default the most popular themes, we need to remove scaffolding because the problem is the sort by most popular. We either need to not sort by most popular.
No, I don't think we should. No, I mean if a scaffolding thing is most popular, then we should show that as the most popular.
Well, sure, if you click the most popular button, but it should not be by default on the themes. So the problem is the people who arrive on the themes page and want to see themes, like the people who land on that page and just want to browse themes do not want scaffolding themes.
You don't. Why? Wait. How do you know that?
Well, because from the experience of someone who doesn't know Backdrop, you want to install a theme on your site. You go to the Backdrop website, you click themes. Nothing you see on that page is what you want. That's a bad first-time experience. And I think the first-time experience is far more important than the I'm already a Backdrop developer and I want a scaffolding theme experience, because those people will understand what a scaffolding theme is, and if we make them check a box that says show me only scaffolding themes, they'll be fine with that. But we don't want
I
to
think-
lose new
I don't know. I
people
think you're-
because we aren't giving them anything that makes sense on that themes page.
I think that's a lot of assumptions there, and I don't know if we should necessarily exclude scaffolding things from the most popular ones. Like maybe if all top 10 are all scaffolding ones, then we can come back and say,
That
okay,
is
this is an
The
issue.
world we live in.
What?
That is the world we live in.
Yeah,
Like, if you look,
know what you want exactly, and you're gonna just already have the get clone thing for that hot theme if you're trying to do that.
That's
I
another
don't
thought
know.
too. Most of the people
Uh,
who want those themes aren't going to be using the user interface. Also, I mean,
I don't agree. I think I'm thinking of myself in this use case. And I want to know if Zen is in the top 10 of all themes. Like,
So
to me, I want to be
maybe-
able to evaluate.
You
Maybe
can
there's
click
a
the
different way to
button
solve this.
that says most popular if you care about, you want to know what's the top 10. But what I'm saying is we should not include that in the default list, like the list that appears by default when you land on the themes page. I'm fine if we have a button that says most popular and you click most popular and include Zen. I'm fine if you have a list that says like show scaffolding themes and you click the show scaffolding themes and it shows only basic.
So I think
But I want the 10 that show up on that page without anyone clicking anything. They need to not be scaffolding themes, which means that
well,
we
let's call them
can't just
featured
show.
then. They're featured themes then.
Well, we aren't going to pick and choose them. They are not featured. They are the most popular non-scaffolding themes. Right? Like, we need to have a search thing.
Well,
That seems weird to me.
So hold on. What if you see whatever's popular, but there's a way that the basic user sees like, oh, this is an advanced theme. This probably isn't for me. Like there's a flag, like some visual indicator that's intuitive.
So
Might be a way
if
to
all
do
of the themes on that page are advanced, does
Yeah.
that paint the right first-time
It could-
experience?
It could be we have the default is like here's the top 10 advanced and here's the top 10 like, you know.
So we could have two columns or something.
Right.
That could work.
I think we're getting stuck on one solution. There's probably more ways than that to even cut it, but
Yeah, we need to not have, when someone lands on that page, have all of the themes be not for you if it's your first time using Backdrop. And I don't care how what that search, if it was more than one column or it's a different search or whatever it is. We just need to not be, because that's the world we're in Drupal, and it's really harmful to the health of the front-end community in Drupal.
What's wrong with featured themes?
Well, if you want to go and evaluate all the themes and check boxes on them all the time, that's fine. But I have a feeling you're probably too busy to be featuring.
I mean, featured will be distilled from most popular. Like, I don't see that being that difficult. Like, to me, usably, that makes more sense. I mean, I also
think there's also some contention, like in the open source world, for like one person to be like choosing somebody else's code. I think is weird. So I think if there's a way that we can calculate that, it would be much better than if somebody went and said this is featured, this one's featured, this one's not featured.
Like on
Just so that we remove the like personal.
Well, could you do a filter like in the backend that says most popular non-advanced ones are just automatically the featured ones?
But you wouldn't need to, like, you could just run that query without adding the feature. Like, you can call it whatever you want, but you don't need the checkbox there for that if it's just a query.
Oh,
yeah. So that's kind of what I was recommending, is like just show that list, and we don't need any other like architecture there to leverage it. And I think, Wes, you're right. Like, if we wanted to put, even understanding that our more advanced theme users have a different way of interacting with this page could be valuable too. And even if like we had two lists, but one of them was like, here's the big list with the pretty screenshot, but you don't need a screenshot for a scaffolding theme. So it could be a completely different display and be like, here's the top scaffolding themes, and put them in a place that those people know how to browse to what they want. They can get the information they need, but maybe they don't need the same visual cues as they do for the other. Like, there's definitely a way that we can cater that one page to both of those groups in a way that makes a lot of sense. So,
Okay. So yeah, I think the bifurcated approach is the solution thus far. I also like the word bifurcated. Like, category 1 is popular. Let's 2 is scaffold or popular. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. Cool. Good job. Sweet. I think we were at user tasks for that. Any other tasks?
Well, download, I mean, it's the same as for module, so download themes, compare themes, and find theme info.
Okay.
Find more theme info.
Okay, cool. I'm liking this new page tables version. It goes quicker, and I think it's more straightforward.
We want to do the same thing for layouts.
So I don't think you have one there, do you? I didn't notice.
We don't. I think we forgot that was important.
Okay.
Well, at the time, we didn't have layouts when we made the original page tables.
Is that a separate page on the site?
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. It's almost 1. Do you guys have your developer meeting coming up?
We do.
Okay. This could be a homework, and we could circle back.
Okay.
All right. Awesome work, y'all. Thank you so much.
All right. So we will break now and switch to developer meeting mode. But Darius, this is great, helpful for us to talk this stuff through, and I'm really looking forward to getting modules and themes and layouts on Backdrop CMS.
Yeah, I think we just did some awesome work here. Like, it's all so much more clear.
Yay! Go team!
Nice work. Yay!
All right. Well, we will see some of you in a minute in the other meeting. So have a good 2 weeks.
See you.
All right. Talk to you guys soon.